Okay, so we're gonna learn about the note names and the fretboard and how to map them out on our fretboard. So in music, we have a total of 12 notes, and everybody uses these. Guitar players, bass players, singers, piano, we all use the same 12 notes. So it's super important that we know them. And you actually already know some of them if you know your string names. There's an E, there's a B, there's a G, there's a D, there's an A. I'll get into why there's two E's a little later in the video, but you know some of them already. So we use letters to identify their names. There's 12 of them, and these are our 12 notes here. So we have A sharp / B flat, B, C sharp / D flat, D sharp / E flat, E, F sharp / G flat, G sharp / A flat. So this thing right here, A sharp / B flat, the A / B flat, this is known as enharmonic. All that means is that it's one sound, it's the same sound, this is one note, but it has two different names, and it just depends on the context of what you're doing, the direction, the key, whatever you're playing. So I find that it's a little confusing, especially if you don't understand how the sequence is yet, if you don't have that memorized yet. It's a little confusing with the A sharp, B flat, all that. It's a little confusing. So we're gonna get rid of all the flats for now until we can understand until we master the sharps, and then once we got that down, then the flats will be real easy. So we're gonna stick to this. So this is a simplified version of this, or we're just leaving out one thing. And again, remember, sharps and flats, A sharp and a B flat is the same sound. It's creating the same sound. So don't think there's a couple more notes. No, it's the same sound. So these are the notes here. So we have A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. These are our 12 notes. These are the ones that everyone uses. If you want to write these down, go ahead. Anyways, so these are our 12 notes. So let's see how we can identify them on our fretboard, or how they work with our instrument. So like I said, we already have some of the notes identified, right? For example, our A string, you should know which one your A string is by now. But if you don't, it's going to be the second string from the top, right? So it's this one right here. So that's your A string. So the A string is called the A string not because it's just a nice name for it, but because that's the note it's making. So when you play that string on its own, it's creating an A note, okay? Now, when you play, put your finger on a fret, that's no longer an A note anymore, right? You can hear the pitch changing, right? It's the pitch is getting higher and higher and higher, right? So it's not the same sound anymore. So this is where those 12 notes come into play. So if I go like this, that's an A now. Note, sorry. Let me double check. Yeah, a little off here. And this is really helpful if you have a tuner, right? It'll tell you exactly, or chromatic tuner, what note, oops, I'm still a little off there, what note you're playing. Okay, so we got an A here. Got it? So that means that when I put my finger down on one of the frets, I'm going to get one of the 12 notes that I went over earlier. Something that I want you to really kind of get down, like really understand, like and memorize, is when you play your open string, try to think of that as fret 0, or like the invisible fret, because a lot of people start to assume that, oh, that's the first note of this string, so that must mean it's the first fret. It's not. It's open. So 0. Okay. So open, right? So the first fret is the next note. So what is the next note in the sequence after A, right? Because remember, we're getting higher, right? The notes are going higher this way, right? Not this way. If we were to start from here and then work our way back, it'd be different. But we're going up in pitch. So if our open string is A, our next note is going to be an A sharp, and that's exactly what it is. And you can, if you have a tuner, it'll tell you exactly that. It's a little hard to see there, but let me see. Yeah, there it is. So you got A, and then A sharp. Oops, A sharp. See the little hashtag there? A sharp. Good. So that means that our next note has to be B, right? And then we have C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp. Now, what about all this? What happens after G sharp? So these 12 notes repeat, right? So this is the first range here. We're going to go to the next range of notes, of 12 notes. So that means that after G sharp, we go to A again, right? But this A is not the same as that A. It's an octave higher, right? It means it's the same letter, but it's the same note, but a pitch higher, right? Or not a pitch higher, but an octave higher, right? So that's an A. That's why we have two E strings. That's why they sound different. A low E and a higher E. They're different ranges, right? So that's why how we know that they're both E's. It's just that they're different ranges, right? So that's your A string, okay? A good way to memorize this is try to do like a little rhyme, right? So it's going to be A through G, right? Those are your natural notes, by the way. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Sharps in between, all of them, except for B and E. So B and C are neighbors, right? E and F are neighbors. So there's no sharps there, and this is true. Why? Ask the music gods. It kind of worked out that way. It makes the most sense for the way we tune our instruments. So we have B to C and E to F. So those don't have sharps. So whenever you're like trying to figure out what note comes next, tell yourself, okay, if this note's A, I know it's an A, what is the next note? Well, is it E or B, one of those notes? No, it's an A, so the next note has to be sharp. A way to memorize this, bacon and eggs, right? B and E, no sharps, right? So that's a good way to memorize which ones have a sharp and which ones don't. Every other note's going to have a sharp after, okay? It's never going to be three natural notes in a row, right? It's never going to be A, B, C, then C sharp, right? It's also, you're never going to have two sharps next to each other. So it's not going to be A sharp, B sharp, or whatever, right? It's just going to be A sharp. Next note has to be the next letter, B, okay? So it's a little confusing right now. Rewind the video, check it out again, and then see if it'll start to make sense after a while.